Do you believe the U.S. Constitution is the greatest document ever written, giving rights to the people? The Bill of Rights, not only having 3 separate branches of government, but rights to the people to protect them from the government. It started with 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights. Now it's up to 27. It's what makes America America and different from all other countries. It was the first document of its kind. Yeah, there was the Magna Carta back in 1215. Here at the Constitution Hall, and I'll be showing you the entrance here. Let me go this way. And gave the people rights. I mean, really, for the first time ever. In 1787, it was ratified. James Madison was the main writer. And in 1789, it was put into action. And George Washington became our first president. And it wasn't under the Articles of Confederation, which was the document before the Constitution, where there was the executive branch with the president, there was the judicial branch, and there was a Congress. And all 3 had checks and balances on each other. And that's important. Do you find it important? Leave it in the comments below, really, because there are countries that still have kings. We broke away from a country, Great Britain, that had a king, King George III. And we didn't like the taxes very much that he was imposing on us, especially the tea tax. Yeah, a lot of people drank tea back then. We were colonies from Britain. We weren't our own country back then. Formed our own government, which made it so we couldn't be ruled by a king anymore. There is no king. When we vote for president, we are not voting, and I don't think a lot of people know this, but I went to law school for a year and a half. Hi, my name is Mike, and I'll say Mike Carabell because we are in the area of the Liberty Bell as well, and Independence Hall, where people really did stake their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. You could be killed back then. But that's not really what the Constitution was about, because that was after the Revolutionary War had been won. And George Washington was going to win the presidency. John Adams knew he couldn't defeat George Washington, although he became the first vice president. But the U.S. Constitution gives us freedom of speech. It means the government cannot just jail you for speaking in public. Oh, YouTube, for my YouTube creator fans, they can ban you. Facebook can ban you. If you're on the radio, you can be banned if you say the wrong words, or on TV, right? There are some creators on what's called the school platform that tell other creators, well, if you talk about this or that, like the pharmaceutical industry, that you'll be banned in the United States because they're just that powerful of an advertiser, what have you. Well, Rudy Strahl in Austria, of all places, is brave enough to do that anyway. Now, I'm not saying don't go take your vaccines. I took the COVID-19 vaccine. I did. I didn't really want to, but I did because I wanted to keep my job. Because you could be put out of a job if you didn't take the COVID vaccine and you were in a classroom like I was, where one kid got sick and you're out for 2 weeks because God forbid you get it and spread it to someone else. Now, the kids were never really at risk in COVID-19. because they were basically asymptomatic anyway, and it was the older people, the elderly, and the people with pre-existing conditions that got it and died. 1 million people died from COVID worldwide in that pandemic. But it really tested the First Amendment with freedom of speech and so forth, because they were telling you not to go to the beaches. They were saying you couldn't have weddings, you couldn't go to church, you didn't have freedom of worship. It made no sense. This is America. I was born in 1972. Back then, there would have been no way schools would have shut down. There would have been no way a governor of a state would have told you, stay off the beaches. Don't gather in groups. Don't go to church. It was ridiculous. And it's enshrined in the U.S. Constitution that we have freedom of speech. And for you gun owners, freedom to bear arms. It's not negotiable. Other countries you can't bear arms. Can you in Great Britain? Maybe I'll get banned for that. I'm trying to get banned today from as many countries as possible. I'm seeing if it will happen. You don't have that right. You probably don't have that right in Russia and China. I mean, the police force usually, or the army usually, is the lethal means of force. They can control what the population does. In Iran, and where the Ayatollah Khomeini is, do you think they have a constitution? Do you think you have freedom of speech and freedom of assembly to protest the government? No way. No way. You'll get shot, you'll get killed. Do you think the people in Tiananmen Square in China, yeah, I'm talking to you, Xi Jinping, had the right to protest? Well, they did. And guess what? They lost by force, and many people died. And it hasn't happened again. In China, there hasn't been another Tiananmen Square because the people fear. And that's 1.4 billion people fear their own government. And I'm not saying do it. If you're in China, I don't think I'd do it, because it's not just me, it's my family, right? And during COVID-19, it came from Wuhan, China. I'm going to say it, Xi Jinping. So you can ban me from China on YouTube if you want to. And you can ban me, Mark Zuckerberg, on Facebook if you want to, if you think I'm spreading false information. But it either came from a lab, right, that honestly the United States was in on in 2019 and it came out, or it was a bat. Do you believe it was a bat? Tell me in the comments below if you think COVID-19 came from a bat. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Gain of function research. Please. Please. In any event, the Constitution is what gives people, honestly, the right to vote. They had to add it originally was just men who had property. And black people didn't have the right to vote, especially, obviously, in the South, right? We fought a civil war. Abraham Lincoln fought a civil war over that. Really, he fought a civil war because the South seceded. Because he said, if you go any farther west and spread slavery past Texas and into the Pacific states, Arizona, New Mexico, California, that all of those states would be free. And that was going to lead to something, and the South knew it, which meant that in the Senate and in the House, and I am a constitutional scholar. I went to law school for 1.5 years. You could say, well, you didn't go all 3 years. Yeah, but I know it. I know the Constitution. I went to the University of Delaware for 4 years. I'm a political history major. Get back to the right to vote. Women got the right to vote in the 19th Amendment. Women didn't have the right to vote. Black people in the South didn't have the right to vote. We had to issue, I know Abraham Lincoln, who I think honestly is our greatest president in the United States, passed the Emancipation Proclamation saying, in all the rebellious states, the African Americans, the black people in servitude, property, are now free. It didn't even apply to every single state, believe it or not, just the ones who seceded from the Union. But the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments gave black people in the South not only freedom, but the right to vote, the right to own property, the right to be full citizens of the United States in every conceivable measure that you can think of. So that's how we get our rights. And later on, you had to be 21 to vote also. And that was changed after the Vietnam War to 18. Because honestly, you could be drafted at 18, right? And die serving this country, the United States of America, in war. And 58,000 people died in Vietnam, Americans, in that ridiculous war that we should have never been in because there was no plan of victory. Yeah, you can ban me America too if you find that controversial. I don't think it's controversial at all. But it took an amendment to the United States to make it 18 for the right to vote. And that was rather recent. So the Constitution is important for our rights, and it gives us representation and suffrage, the right to vote, for our citizens, which I believe in. And yeah, we have two separate parties. I know the major parties, the Democrat and Republican parties, but we're all Americans. And you know what's never on the ballot? Ever? Yeah, presidential candidates are, but the U.S. Constitution, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, is never on the ballot. As long as the United States of America exists, the Constitution exists, and we will have our three separate branches of government, and that's just the way it is. We will never have a king in this country. I don't care what they try to scare you with in presidential elections. Oh, Donald Trump's gonna stay in office. No, he can't. When he lost to Joe Biden, he lost to Joe Biden. Now, he may believe he won, but the Electoral College, when that is final, is final. There are no kings in America. That's just the way it is. And it's been that way since 1789, when George Washington was elected under the U.S. Constitution. I love it. James Madison, thank you. Yeah, there were compromises involved, and slavery was allowed to continue until 1861, the 407 years ago speech of the Gettysburg Address. But we've become a better country, a more equal country, and that's what we've done. So if you love the U.S. Constitution, tell me in the comments below, what's your favorite amendment? Really? Is it the 10th Amendment, where they give a lot of rights to the states? Anything that's not stated in the Constitution goes to the states. States' rights. Is it the right to bear arms? Is it the right to trial by a jury? What's your favorite part of the Constitution? Tell me in the comments below. And until next time, this is local history to me. Tell me in the comments what's local history for you.